Get out, leave us alone. You're no longer needed. You've done more damage to London than Hitler ever did in Second World War, and if he couldn't do it, you've done it. Thank you.
Why no to ULEZ? Why yes to it? It's more like it.
Imagine waking up one morning to find out that the money you've been paying day after day just to drive your own car in London might actually have been taken illegally. Picture this. Thousands of motorists who forked out £12.50 every single day could soon be lining up for refunds, while Transport for London faces a financial nightmare that some are already calling the beginning of its collapse. That's the storm brewing around the ultra-low emission zone, better known as ULEZ. For years, it's been sold as a clean air measure, a way to protect Londoners from toxic fumes. But behind the glossy headlines and the green branding, cracks have started to show. A scaffolder, of all people, may have set in motion a chain of events that could unravel the entire scheme. And now, with fresh legal challenges on the horizon, the question is no longer whether ULEZ is controversial, it's whether it can survive at all. So tonight, let's break down what's really happening. From the courtroom battles to the furious drivers, from the political fallout to the possibility of mass refunds, this could be the story that changes London's car culture forever. To understand how we got here, we need to step back and look at what ULEZ was supposed to be. The ultra-low emission zone was launched with a bold promise: cleaner air for London. Drivers of older, more polluting cars, especially diesel models that don't meet Euro 6 standards, would be forced to pay a daily fee of £12.50 if they wanted to enter the zone. Heavy vehicles faced even higher charges. The idea was simple: push people to upgrade to cleaner cars, reduce nitrogen oxides and particulates, and improve public health across the capital. At first, the zone covered only central London, building on the earlier congestion charge system. But the ambition didn't stop there. Under Mayor Sadiq the boundaries expanded to the north and south circular roads in 2021. And then in August 2023, they stretched even further, encompassing almost all of Greater London. Suddenly, what had once been a central city policy became a suburban reality. Millions of residents, from delivery drivers to nurses commuting from the outskirts, found themselves caught up in the scheme. Officials touted impressive figures. Transport for London claimed that harmful emissions were falling, that London's air quality was improving, and that thousands of premature deaths could be prevented. But while City Hall painted ULEZ as a public health crusade, others saw something far less noble. To them, this wasn't a clean air policy. It was a stealth tax, a daily toll on the working class, on small business owners, and on those who couldn't afford the switch to an electric car. That tension has been simmering for years, and it's now boiling over. The turning point came not from politicians or think tanks, but from a scaffolder named Noel Wilcox. For years, he drove his trucks into London's low-emission zone, racking up staggering penalties that eventually totaled more than £115,000. To most people, that would have been a financial death sentence. But Wilcox didn't just roll over. He fought the charges, and in 2021, he won. The adjudicator who reviewed his appeal made a damning observation: the signage for the zone was inadequate. Simply posting a sign that read ULEZ Zone or LEZ Zone did not provide drivers with enough information about what they were being charged for. Without clear, legally sufficient warnings, those fines could not stand. In Wilcox's case, the penalty notices were declared invalid and the charges were wiped away. That judgment may not have made front-page headlines at the time, but it planted a legal seed with potentially explosive consequences. If one driver could overturn 6 figures worth of fines on the basis of poor signage, what did that mean for the thousands of others who had been paying daily charges under the same conditions? The case raised uncomfortable questions. Had TfL been enforcing a scheme that didn't meet its own legal obligations? And if so, could all those penalties and all that revenue be challenged in court? For Wilcox, the victory was personal, but for ULEZ, it was the first serious crack in the armor. Fast forward to the day, and that 2021 ruling has become the foundation for a much larger legal assault. According to reports from outlets like GB News, fresh legal documents suggest that if Wilcox's new claim succeeds, thousands of motorists who have been paying ULEZ charges could be entitled to refunds. We're not talking about a handful of tickets here. We're talking millions of pounds in daily fees, stretching back over months, even years. For Transport for London, the stakes couldn't be higher. The agency has been relying on revenue from ULEZ to fund its operations, already stretched thin by the financial aftershocks of the pandemic. If courts decide that TFL wrongfully collected charges between 2021 and 2023, when the signage issue had already been flagged, the result could be catastrophic. Refunds on that scale would hit the budget like a sledgehammer, and critics are already saying it could push the entire scheme to the brink of collapse. The question hanging in the air is simple but devastating. Was TFL charging drivers illegally for nearly 2 years? If the answer turns out to be yes, then London could be facing one of the largest mass repayment orders in its history. And with every new headline about landmark rulings and suspension of ULEZ, the pressure on City Hall only grows. What was once sold as a clean air initiative is now looking more and more like a legal minefield. And as campaigners push forward, the fear inside TFL isn't just about bad press, it's about survival. It didn't take long for the political fallout to catch fire. On one side, Mayor Sadiq Khan has defended ULEZ as one of his signature policies, calling it a vital step in tackling air pollution and saving lives. He points to data from Public Health England and TFL showing reductions in nitrogen dioxide levels, and he frames the scheme as a moral necessity. For Khan and his allies, ULEZ isn't just a tax, it's a health intervention, a matter of life and death for Londoners breathing toxic air. But his opponents see something very different. Susan Hall, the Conservative candidate for mayor, described the Wilcox case as a fantastic victory, framing Khan as a leader who has unjustly squeezed money out of working families. In her view, ULEZ is less about cleaner skies and more about filling TFL's coffers. She's not alone. Conservative councils on the outskirts of London have already tried, unsuccessfully, to block the expansion in court. And beyond the party lines, ordinary residents who feel punished by the daily fees are increasingly vocal. The split has hardened into a cultural battle. Supporters cite the need for action on climate change and public health, while detractors call it a cash grab, an elitist policy that punishes those who can't afford shiny new electric vehicles. Some even argue it's a wedge issue, designed to rally votes around a green agenda, regardless of its fairness. So as the legal challenges mount, so too does the political tension. For Khan, ULEZ is a legacy project. For his opponents, it's the perfect symbol of overreach. Proof, they say, that City Hall is out of touch with the very people it claims to protect. The courtroom drama and political sparring weren't enough. The public response to ULEZ has added another combustible layer. Across London, ordinary drivers have voiced their anger in increasingly visible ways. Social media groups have sprung up where motorists share stories of unexpected fines, sometimes running into the thousands, and vent about what they see as a system designed to trap them. The tone isn't just frustration, it's fury. That fury has spilled over into the streets. Enter the so-called Blade Runners, a loose network of activists who have taken it upon themselves to sabotage ULEZ enforcement cameras. Reports suggest that over 1,000 cameras have been damaged, removed, or covered since the 2023 expansion. For them, it's civil disobedience, an act of resistance against what they call government overreach. For TFL, it's vandalism that not only disrupts enforcement, but also drives up costs, as each destroyed camera must be replaced. Individual cases have also drawn sympathy and outrage. One widely circulated story involved a family with an American motorhome, misclassified in the system, who found themselves facing massive bills instead of the expected $12.50 daily charge. To critics, stories like these expose the flaws and unfairness baked into the scheme. And then there are the optics. Every time someone posts a photo of a ULEZ camera cut down, it feeds the narrative that this isn't just a controversial policy, it's an illegitimate one. Whether that's true or not is still up to the courts, but in the court of public opinion, the battle lines have already been drawn. For many Londoners, ULEZ isn't a clean air initiative. It's a fight for fairness, a fight for survival in a city where the cost of living keeps climbing. So where does all this leave ULEZ? At the moment, it sits on a knife's edge. On paper, it remains in force across Greater London, with cameras rolling and daily charges continuing to flow into TfL's accounts. Officials insist that the scheme is delivering measurable improvements to air quality, and for now, City Hall shows no signs of backing down. But the legal clouds are gathering. If the courts side with Wilcox and other claimants, the financial and political consequences could be devastating. Imagine the logistics of refunding millions of pounds in charges. Imagine the headlines if London's flagship environmental policy is declared unlawful. For TfL, already struggling with debt and reduced ridership post-pandemic, such a blow could be more than just embarrassing. It could be existential. At the same time, the larger debate refuses to fade. Advocates argue that London must stay the course on climate and public health, pointing to cleaner skies as proof that the policy works. Critics countered that no environmental initiative should come at the cost of fairness and legality, especially when working-class families are paying the price. Both sides are digging in, and the outcome may hinge less on public opinion than on a judge's ruling in the months ahead. One thing is certain, ULEZ has become more than a traffic policy. It's a symbol of the clash between ambition and accountability, between clean air and cold cash. And whether it survives, collapses, or mutates into something new, this story will leave a lasting mark on London's future. So here we are, standing at the crossroads of one of London's most controversial policies. On one hand, the promise of cleaner air, healthier lungs, and a greener future. On the other, the possibility that years of enforcement could be unraveled by a single legal thread, leaving TfL facing financial ruin and drivers demanding their money back. Whether you see ULEZ as a necessary health measure or a cynical cash grab, it's impossible to deny that the stakes have never been higher. The next chapters will likely be written in courtrooms, not campaign rallies. And while politicians trade barbs and activists cut down cameras, ordinary Londoners are left in limbo, wondering whether they should pay up, hold out, or prepare for refunds that may never come. But here's the question I'll leave you with. If a policy that claims to save lives can't even survive the scrutiny of the law, was it ever fit for purpose in the first place? Or is this just the messy birth of a new kind of urban policy, one that tries and fails to balance clean air with economic reality? What do you think? Is ULEZ a noble fight that deserves to continue? Or is it, as critics say, a flawed scheme destined to collapse under its own weight? Drop your thoughts in the comments, share this video with someone who's been hit by ULEZ charges, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the stories shaping our cities. Because this isn't just about London, it's about the future of how we live, drive, and breathe.